all night.
Conference will now be recorded.
And we'll try to do this expeditiously, even though it looks to be a heavy agenda, but we'll try to move through it as expeditiously as possible and get you back home where it's warm. So first of all, I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask our clerk, Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please? Here?
Here.
Here.
Thank you. So we have a board in place, and we do have a quorum. So board members, we need to approve the minutes from July the 24th, August the 7th, and August the 24th, the evidentiary hearing for our board. And ladies and gentlemen, we normally do not do this grouping of minutes, but we haven't met in a while, as you'll see. So the chair is amenable to taking a motion that would include approving all of those minutes at one time, unless you have some changes to be made. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept all the minutes.
Member Granger, second.
Second.
Member Barnhill. All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All right. Looks like it's unanimous. At this point, we have to appoint, i.e. elect, a new board chair and vice chair. And I'm going to turn it over to our town manager, Gene Foxworth, to manage that for us, if you would bear with us, please.
So I'll call for nominations for chair of the Board of Adjustment. Are there any nominations on the floor?
I nominate Wanda Fowler.
Second. I was going to ask if there are any more nominations, but it looks like that pretty much took care of it. But I will, just for formality, any other nominations? All in favor of Chair Fowler, say aye.
Aye.
I'll turn it back over to Chair Fowler.
Thank you kindly. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Y'all make it easy, so thank you a lot. Now we need nominations for our vice chair. I'll entertain a motion for that. Any nominations? Mr. Hotelling, any nominations from the floor? We don't have one, but we need one. Heather Granger? Any others? Seeing none, then I'll close nominations. Please raise your hand if you're in favor of Heather Granger taking over the vice chairmanship. Thank you kindly. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I will be absent the next two meetings.
Thanks, Wanda.
Are we going to administer oaths tonight? Do we need to do that at this point in time, Madam Clerk? Let's do that and get it out of the way.
Yeah, you can do
Please.
both at the same time.
Yeah, you come. So you'll be on.
So she
And
can wear y'all in this.
And if you're gonna speak, you need to come on.
Is she
Heather.
Heather.
So you're swearing in the chair and vice chair. Okay, come over and swear the.
Not
chair
for
and vice chair.
not for witnesses yet.
Yeah, not for witnesses yet. Yeah. Yeah, you can do it now. Okay.
Caught you by surprise. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen.
So
That's
just
what I
for
said.
the edification of the audience, so this is an evidentiary hearing tonight. It's different than a lot of processes that are typically undertaken with boards, the planning commission, and often even the town commissioners. So if you wish to speak tonight after they're sworn in, and once the chairperson calls these cases individually, so the first case, anyone that wanted to speak in it would come up and get sworn in, and then the second case, anyone that wants to present evidence would come up and get sworn in as well.
We are a quasi judicial body. By virtue of that, we swear in witnesses in the nature that we will tonight, if you choose to do that. We've taken a brief hiatus while our clerk brings the oath forward so that we can swear in the new chair and vice chair. Anybody heard any good jokes lately?
Not appropriate one.
If I could take a point of personal privilege while we're waiting, I want to give some kudos to our police department. I had an opportunity to be out of town over Christmas, and I know that our police department will check your place of residence if you ask. And so I called and they said, sure, we'll check it. Well, I was gone for like 5 days. And I have cameras. They came every single day, walked my property, left me a note one day. So I appreciate that. Please convey that to them, please. Thank you. I'm sorry, we caught you off guard.
That's okay. All right.
I apologize.
That's okay. Ready for the other one?
Are the words separate? I, Wanda Fowler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain the Constitution
that I will support and maintain the Constitution
and the laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent
not inconsistent
therewith,
therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
of Chair of the Board of Adjustment
as Chair of the Board of Adjustment
to
for
the
the
best
town
of
of
my
Fairfield,
skill and ability,
to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the law.
according to the law, so help me God. Let me hold it.
Here, if you want one. I, your name,
I, Heather Granger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
and maintain the Constitution
and maintain the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws of North Carolina,
and the laws of North Carolina,
not inconsistent
not inconsistent
therewithin,
therewithin,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as Vice Chair of the Board of Adjustment
as Vice Chair of the Board of Adjustment
to the best of my skill and ability,
to the best of my skill and ability,
according to the law.
according to the law,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Now, we have before us tonight 2 cases for variances off of our plan of our ordinances and for a Board of Adjustment to be able to consider the credibility of a variance. There have to be situations that are satisfied from the applicant. The applicant will make application and they will give us reasons why their cases fit those criteria. But for those of you who have not been to a Board of Adjustment meeting before, I'd like to tell you what that criteria is and those things that have to be satisfied. And it's a satisfaction of an unnecessary hardship. Why is the variance, why is the ordinance a hardship on the folks who are coming before us tonight? The first one is that when unnecessary hardships would result from carrying out the strict letter of the zoning legislation, the Board of Adjustment shall vary any of the provisions upon showing of all the following. Number 1, the unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation. It's not necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance that no reasonable use can be made of the property. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property, such as location, size, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance. A variance may be granted when necessary and appropriate to make a reasonable accommodations under the Federal Fair Housing Act for a person with a disability. The next one is a hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant of the property owner. The act of purchasing property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of the variance is not a self-created hardship. and the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such as public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. No change in permitted uses may be authorized by the variance. Appropriate conditions may be imposed on any variance. In other words, the board may allow a variance with certain conditions coming out of the meeting tonight, provided that conditions are reasonably related to the variance, and any other development regulation that regulates land use or development may provide for variances from the provisions of those ordinances consistent with the provisions of this subsection of the regulation. All right. Having said that, our first variance that we will consider tonight, before I get started, that is the case of Jackie and Wendy Wheatley. Are there any board members who might have a conflict of interest where they would not want to sit to hear this case?
Recuse myself. That property.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
All right, if you take a seat in the audience, we'll ask our alternate to come forward, Mr. Hadon. And so you will sit for this variance, Mr. Hadon. Members, if you would turn in your notebook to tab number 7, we'll start this. This is Jackie and Wendy Wheatley. Are there any folks that are going to present us with, going to speak to us tonight that need to be sworn in at this point in time? The Whitleys? Are you going to?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, yes. You can do them all at the same time, be fine.
You affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, yes.
And gentlemen, when you come to speak, we were going to ask you to tell us who you are and what you represent in terms of this case, if you don't mind. Yes, sir.
So, okay, thank you very much. I guess glad to be here tonight. 69 years old, and this is the first time I've ever come before a body like this to ask for anything in my life. But anyway, let me give you a little bit of background on me, myself, and my wife. My wife, Wendy, over here. We've been married 42 years, and we live in Wilson, North Carolina. We've been coming out here to the coast for a long time, enjoyed it. Had a house on the island for 10 years. Loved it. And when I was getting ready to retire, we decided we wanted a little more. And I always said I wanted to be able to walk out in my backyard and mash a button, put my boat in the water, and go off down the waterway. And we looked and looked and looked for a lot, and we finally found one. And we felt comfortable enough it was something we could afford and we could do and build a house. It's taken a while now to get a house built, but we're just about there. But one of the things I wanted to bring before the board that, you know, if there was a mistake made, I made it. Okay. When I first looked at this lot, and it doesn't dawn on you how this lot lays on the earth. The sidelines of our lot between our neighbors, one side is like 180 feet and the other side is 200 feet long. But in the middle, the waterway comes in to the lot. I got a picture. You'll get a picture of it here in a few minutes if you haven't already seen it. And then we have the proposed future, I guess, cul-de-sac of this subdivision, whatever it's going to be in the future, with a circle in front next to the center of the lot there. Well, I knew our lot was wide, you know, to start with, but I never realized, and they're putting measure on there exactly what we had. I knew when we tried to pick out house plans, something we want to build, we need to build a house that was, most of the house plans you look at for coastal waters are deep and narrow because so many lots, you know, are pushing together so close. There wasn't any wide, you know, houses. We kept looking and found a few houses that we felt like we could work with and use our architect to draw from, get an idea. And we built a house that's it's only 32 feet deep. It's about the size of a mobile home, double wide mobile home. But we have a porch on the back that's 12 feet with a view of of the water. And then when we were looking at it, we said, well, we got to do something for the roadside, even though most of the view for us is from the backside, we got to have something from the front side. We have a 6-foot porch on the front. Not until we had our surveyor come in. We had surveyed the lot well before, but not until the surveyor went to put the house on the lot did we realize we had a little problem. When he put the house on the lot, the first thing he did was he shifted it all the way to the left side of our lot underneath trees that we had left on the property line. And we didn't like that. That didn't look good, and it would have put us right on top of the house next door to us. So I wanted to go to the other side. When we moved back over with the house, we tried to turn it, but because of the 50-foot setback from the water, because of that point where it comes in, and you cul-de-sac in front where it circles around, we only had a tight area where we could place this house. And then it said, and you don't have room for front steps. And I'm like, how are we going to build this house and not have front steps? We had by that time, we were already well over 2 years into ownership of this lot. Broke ground, really. So at that point, I told my wife, I said, well, maybe some point we can get a variance or do something, figure out some way to get steps on this front porch for we can build our house. So we went forward with building the house, and we come here tonight asking for a variance. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my general contractor, J.P. Davies, to give you a little more, color and what have you to wrap this up.
Mr. Whitley, will you be amenable to questions a little later after
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis
Yes, ma'am.
speaks?
We're not
Okay.
going in.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming out on such a cold night.
JP Davies, contractor building this house. I do have some paperwork. Should I hand it out for people to look
Please.
at?
Thank you. Thank you. So what have you given us here, Mr. Davies?
Oh, I have no copy? So the first part I can skip over reading and just give you a shorter version of what I wrote up, if that's fine, and then go through some of the drawings. Okay, I'm here on behalf of Mr. Whitley, just requesting variance to allow the front steps to encroach 9 feet 11 inches into the required 40-foot setback. The exterior stairs is coming off the second floor porch, 42 inches wide with a landing and 2 short runs that'll split the driveway. The request is for the stairs. Big part is safe entry. It's not adding any living space and doesn't change the use. The hardship, from what I understand, is created by the road and the geometry. Quail Run is I'm not sure if it's a private street or right of way or what that really is, but it's got the curve, the 75-foot curve. So when we measure off of that, it increases that 40-foot setback, as Mr. Whitley was saying. We've made good faith effort to stay everything within the boundaries we could. We worked this house to the inch to fit everything within those setbacks. So I kind of go through some of my drawings, and we took a parallel line off the street. And if we follow that parallel line, we are 70 feet off to the front porch. So with the stairs, we would still maintain 60 foot from that line. And that is, if it helps to understand that. That's just a picture of his front house, how it is now. No stairs on the front. The next one should just be an example of a front set of stairs when they come down and how they would tee off. I think we have in there just something where it shows that it's a private road. We have a floor plan in there with the stairs drawn on the front here, this side. So it shows them coming up and splitting out for everyone to see. And then I have 2 copies of the survey, one showing how everything's built now, and the one with some highlighting marks on it. The pink area that you see, that would be where the stairs are. And then I drew the parallel line as my dotted line I drew across the front of the arch created. So it shows you where it's 70 feet back now. And then if we measured that same line, we'd be 60 feet off the line that's created by doing that. And other than that, I don't have much other than I can try to provide as much information or answer any questions possible. I think I did, go through the variance standards, unnecessary hardship, strip application, anyways, I don't need to read all of that. It's all in there. Stuff that y'all have covered. But our big request is just trying to make this as safe egress and ingress as possible for the Whitleys. And to fit within the rules as much as we can.
Mr. Whitley, you approve of these variance findings that he has in his paperwork? Okay. Absolutely.
One of the things is, in our house, we didn't realize that, think about this later on, this really is a safety situation. Because if you're in our house coming over as a guest, and today, and you come up underneath, come up the elevator, you have an elevator. Come inside and then there's a fire. First thing you think of is if you go out the back door, go out the front door. If you go out the front door on the front steps, you're in trouble because there's no steps. There's no steps. To get out of the house, you can get out of the house, but you can't get down the steps.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Board members, what questions do you have of Mr. Davies? Or Mr. Whitley? We can ask him to come back to the podium.
Just exactly where were you when you realized that you were going to need a variance in the construction phase?
I guess just getting ready to start construction. So too late to go back and change plans and when we do everything to get to that point.
When you applied for your permit, where was the permit granted by the county, the town, or?
Everybody that had to review it has seen it. So.
And when you submitted this original permit, were the steps on it?
No, we had to remove them for that after the surveys had been done.
Mr. Davies, you made a comment about the cul-de-sac and the curve of the road, but the curve of the road was there when the lot was purchased, right?
Yeah, the road was that.
Okay. So the cul-de-sac concept has always been there. It hasn't something that's come about since you bought the lot.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Would it be possible to go with the steps down the side of the house off of, instead of, because you do have a front entrance to the home?
Yeah, that's true. That it would be, and we considered that, but aesthetically, I don't think that would add to the looks of our house. I think that would be fair, as far as the look. And,
I mean, if we're talking about safety, which is what you brought up, though, that would cure the safety problem. Okay.
My wife for 42 years really wants to set a fence up for the looks of the house.
He just threw you under the bus. You know that. I'm teasing. Any other questions of these two witnesses? All right, thank you, Mr. Davies. And we have another gentleman. Are you one of the property owners? All right.
I had a question.
Oh, hold on.
I had a question on the road itself.
Oh, he's sworn me. Oh, okay.
Okay.
And this may be a question that Gene can answer.
Gene,
Is it a private road or is it so it's not a town maintained road, it's not a town road?
It's not town maintained.
Do we have any input from the ownership of the road? Who owns the road? As far as this
Is it
variance
HOA?
request?
I've not heard any, the ownership of the road would be the adjacent property owners who can notify.
I mean, I will say I drove down it today, and I couldn't tell you where the road is, other than
With gravel.
following but in some portions of it, it's covered over with leaves and pine straw and stuff. So it's hard to figure out where the road is if you're driving it.
And to go further with that, I did the same thing, and I don't even know if the road is exactly where it's supposed to be, or if it's
Correct.
just a path that was created by people driving down it over time. You know what I'm saying? So,
The position of the road, and I can answer some of this, the position of the road is probably inconsequential to this because you've been provided a survey. The survey is precisely where that lot line is, where that cul-de-sac is. Now, as far as the positioning of the road further back.
Right.
Who's to say?
There are 3 names on the application of property owners that abut the property. Are any of these individuals here to speak tonight? That would be John and Diane Ritchie, Joe Austin, or Laura Fulcher. Okay. Board members, any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion for this variance request.
They talk to the neighbors about this, if there's a problem? I mean, but have you spoken to them, to Laura, to John Ritchie, or any of them? And okay,
We were told today that she did come over to the house.
okay,
Went up in the house and talked with one of the workers. And the worker, she told the worker that she didn't see what the problem was.
okay.
Madam Clerk, were these people advised of the meeting tonight? Thank you. So they were aware of the meeting tonight.
steps themselves will be contained on the driveway that's already been poured.
Still leave plenty of parking.
So we're not looking at a drainage issue or a,
No, you've already put in.
We've installed a drainage system in the driveway, doing everything near the house.
Mr. Foxworth wants to make a clarification of some description.
Mr. Withers, or Mr. Davis, the variance request is for 11. What Mr. Davis was 9 feet 11 inches.
Yeah, we have shortened it up a little bit from what it
Adjusted
was.
some
We adjusted,
calculations
yeah.
last 2 days and just tried to keep it as tight as we could.
Yeah.
To the house.
Variances are very precise, so I want to clarify that.
So it's almost 10 feet,
Correct.
9 feet, 11 inches.
Yeah, I did the exact math on it.
So how far does that put us over?
But you 9 feet 11 inches.
Over
Okay,
the,
okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
into the road that we don't.
Yeah, I wasn't sure of the,
Yes, ma'am. So if you look at, just to further clarify, if you look at the site plan that you've been given, you see where that front porch is. So I think it's part of the application.
It was, yeah.
So that's precisely what it is.
Yes.
That front porch, that covered porch is right up against that line.
The current porch.
Correct. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Board members, what's your pleasure?
What hardship is this going to cause by letting them put a set of steps out there? I mean, is it going to be a problem with What's,
The hardship is supposed to be on the petitioner.
okay.
The variance
What-
creates a hardship on them. That's why they're
Right, so
asking for us to
what's-
switch.
What's 9 feet into the variance mean?
Well, I think what you're meaning to ask is what is the hardship that we should allow the porch to extend 9 feet into and encroach on that? What is the hardship that it's causing not to have that?
Or are you saying what harm will it cause? to
Yeah, what harm
allow it?
will it cause to put 9 feet 11 inches?
It sets a
out into-
precedent.
Huh?
It sets a precedent.
Well, with,
Right, I get that.
but with board meetings, there are no precedents.
That's correct.
That's correct.
These
But I
are
mean, it
all
will just,
individual
it,
cases. There are no precedents.
That's correct. Thank you, Mr. Barnhill.
I can see with the layout of the lot where this aesthetically would look better. I think it would probably be a better value. It would probably be something that I would think if I were your neighbor, I would prefer. I'm just concerned about how this rolled out and the timing and why this wasn't brought forward sooner. The safety issue can be avoided with steps to the side. Having said that, and I could definitely see your side of it, and because that lot's unique and where it's setting at, I don't think we're looking at the same as if we were on a linear street type of issue. And it's contained on the driveway that's already there. It's not like another house built to the right or left of it. Because it is on a cul-de-sac, there is a significant amount of distance between you and any home that would be built across from you. But I kind of see where it would be, I can't see where it would create a hardship on someone else, an adjacent neighbor. is What I'm saying.
That's what
Okay.
I,
Okay.
So the,
because nobody's here to dispute it.
so it would be a hardship of the applicant.
The ordinance
I did the
is.
same thing you guys did, yeah. I just
The
did.
ordinance. Sure. We have a clarification.
Yeah, so what I would say is, and just to keep the process moving. So I'm gonna read these one by one for you to consider. I know you read them at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
But
Let's do
consider
it from the application, from what they've said. This is their presentation.
Sure. So I think we should do it directly from the statute.
Okay.
So unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation. It's not necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property. So I think that's one of the, I know that's one of the points that you're making this decision on, right? So finding the fact. The second is that the hardship from conditions that's peculiar to the property, such as size, location, or topography. Hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or general public, may not be the basis for granting a variance.
It doesn't say shall not.
That's right, it doesn't, that's right. The hardship did not result from the actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The act of purchasing property, knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify granting of a variance is not a self-created hardship. And finally, the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. So I think when you're considering this, you shall, I mean, this is a 160D regulation, you shall consider all of these facts in making your decision.
Yes.
My main concern is that, and I don't even know if it's on or not, but I have 3 young grandchildren and they will be with us quite a bit and they will be upstairs. So when they come downstairs, the front door will be right there at them. And I'm thinking with their age, you know, if we had a fire drill or whatever, the thing would be is that they would come down those steps, out that front door and straight down some steps. I worry that they would not think about going to the end of the porch or whatever, because I have found myself and my grandkids have been there. They try to go out that front door. It's just, I'm not used to going down steps the way our steps are. They go up under the house. And if were going to use the elevator, they would have to go all the way around through and go to the elevator to go down. Plus, you have to wait for the elevator to come up. So the elevator's a moot point.
The steps that exist now go into the inside of your house.
Yes. You go up actually under the house and go in. So I worry about my 3 young grandchildren coming out if something were to happen. And I don't know if they would even think about going to the end or not, because my 13-year-old grandson said the other day, he said, Gigi, I try to go out that door every time I come up here. And I find myself doing this very same thing. It's like you just naturally want to go to the front door. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Ms. Whitney.
I'm personally having a hard time with it. I'm in real estate. I've seen stairs all over a house, just depending on it. I'm having a hard time with the fact that the house got to this point and it's still in the process of being built and we're having to do a variance on it. That's where my inner turmoil is on this.
Thank you.
Ed, I don't know if we were to go back now, and maybe the thing is we maybe should have asked for a variance before we started construction. Okay. The problem was we had already been held up so much on construction. It was so slow to get things moving. Like I said, now I'm 69 years old. You know, I used to say, give me another 20 years and it won't really matter. Well, that 20 years is getting a little shorter. So the longer I wait on these things, and building the house was a part of it. I want it where I can enjoy it while I'm able to enjoy it. And I didn't realize then when I said, well, we'll just build it without the steps, that it was going to create the hardship that now it has created, because number one is safety. And like you just saying, it never dawned on me that if you're up there, we have in our house is a kitchen, living area, dining area where everybody's together. You come over to my house to eat dinner one night, somebody messes up and causes a fire, something happens, your first thought is go out the front door, because you can see it. You can see it and you think, I'm going to get out of here. You get to that front door and you think, oh, now where do I go? With the steps there, you're like, we're down, we're out of here, no questions asked. That was an oversight, on my part. This is the third house I guess we've built, and it's taken the longest and been the biggest struggle of building a house. I said, we've been married 42 years. Well, if we make it till May 12th of this year, we'll be 42 years. And no guarantee we're going to get there after building this house. But anyway, we're trying. So.
Members?
Question for the contractor: how difficult would it be to redo these plans and build the side steps instead of protruding out, down?
Yeah, it does. It's only 10 feet.
Did you provide a septic site plan?
On the back of the back of it. The current side steps do not interfere with the septic? The ones that are on the back of the house?
No, man, the septic's on the side, the adjacent neighbor, where, on the front of the house, or right to the side of the house.
And that's where you moved it to the left, where you said that you moved your house closer to the line on the left? You said that earlier, that you had moved it.
What I said
To the
earlier,
tree
when I
line.
was referring, the surveyor had first put the house on the left side of the lot,
Right.
and that was not acceptable for us. Didn't look right. And,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, so then we moved it back to the right, and then the septic system was designed to go on the left-hand side of the house. And
Have some clarity in this question.
As
I think
our-
really quick.
As our planning
Yeah.
person, please do.
Glad to. So if you look at the application that's in your packet, if you look at the first diagram, so this is their site plan, okay? So if you're looking at that site plan that's shown in your packet, you'll see the covered porch on the front of the house, correct?
Yeah.
Everybody see it?
6 feet.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So 12 feet covered porch, 12 feet off the front of the house. And then,
No,
that's the rear.
that's the real.
yeah, my bad,
Yeah.
6 feet. So they showed a staircase coming down the side, did you not at some point?
That, the staircase, you see that from the water side.
Yeah, y'all showed a staircase on another drawing coming down the side, is that correct? At some point?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay. I may be mistaken. That may be mistaken. Yeah.
So you're saying when you move the house, then it makes the steps to the side, not?
Well, we had to move the house here in the septic. The septic system repair area, push out another in the house and it shoves all the way over this side of the house. And the septic drain field and tank start right at me, might be off. Going back to the side of the lot.
So to the right, you would be in, this would be in another setback situation, and to the left, you would be on the set.
That's what I.
So we'd be right back here with the same
Yeah, I'm trying to
discussion.
lighten up these.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So the septic's 5 feet off, or the drain lines are 5 feet off,
The tank starts 5 feet off the corner of the house.
the front or the back corner?
The front, so the front.
That's the water side. No, it's
Street
the
side.
it's the
Street side.
street side, okay, so 5 feet off the corner.
You're looking at
I
the
know it's
front.
water front, street front.
Yeah. Where the driveway's at,
Yes.
okay.
And that big
You
open
can't
area of
put-
the lot that you see there, that is the septic system, the drain field and repair area.
So that makes it impossible to put a set of steps on that side because because you're 5 feet off the tank, or can you build over lines?
That- And that's kind of too, when we started laying it out, originally the house was going to be shifted more, but everything got pushed back because of the.
Bec-
I think the septic drawing would have helped your plight. So that we could actually see where it was located.
He says 5 feet off this front corner, so.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what's your pleasure? Ms. Wheatley, this is an indication that we do take these things seriously.
Good.
And we are in respect of our town ordinances as well.
I understand that. This is going to be happy, Cape Carteret, I guess you say, and
Puerto Ricans?
something like that. Yeah. Good neighbors. Enjoy the rest of our lives here.
Just to be clear, last question I'm gonna ask, you could not have moved the house back because of the camera setback?
Could not.
If you look at that line, it's got a, that's.
Yeah.
Also showed us all the way forward.
30 feet camera buffer.
The CAMA buffer there is
Yeah, I
30-foot
see that.
CAMA buffer.
We tried to turn the house, different ways. I thought maybe we could make a turn in it. But it was hitting both lines anyway. We tried to shift it. So like, that's what we got. And the house is compact from front to rear, is about as compact as you can get. Except for the porches. You do have a nice porch on the back.
You're ready to bring a motion?
And aesthetics doesn't play a part.
When I read through your answers on your questions, I think they were well thought out and well answered. We have, we've reduced the setback from 11.5 to about 9.5, is that correct? This one is about as tight as I've ever seen case, and I've been on this one. I think I'd like to make a motion to grant the variance based on the minimum setback with the adjusted number of 10.5, 10.8.
9.11.
With that correction made as drawn.
You make that motion? Do I have a second? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your hand. All those opposed?
I don't know what way to vote because there's not a hardship to me. It's an aesthetic hardship.
Okay.
There is egress from,
Their
From the
argument,
house.
their argument is for safety, and you're saying that there's not a safety hardship.
not if they could go off the side of the house.
Two of the arguments, though, are that they can't because of the egress and because of the setbacks and because of the septic.
Correct, but we weren't given enough information.
We have to go on the information they presented us tonight.
I know, and that's the problem I have because I'm in real estate, because I don't deal in half information.
Take your real estate hat off.
Motion to grant it, it's fine.
Like to see a vote again. Those in favor of the motion to grant the variance, let it be shown by raising your hand, please. All those opposed? 3-1. Thank you, Heather. You have your variance. Thank you. You can withdraw your vote. You can withdraw the vote if you want to do it like that. You don't have to.
It's only 3-1. It's not a full,
3-1.
it's only 4 people.
I would have voted. We're good. We're discussing the vote.
So if you would retake, if you would,
Yeah, we have to retake that vote because it was not 4/5.
We need a 4/5 vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? You have a 4/5 vote. We're good. But you're right.
I understand that.
All right. Mr. Ritchie, would you like to take your seat? Thank you, Ms. Hoteling. Mr. Myrick.
Good evening, folks. Thanks for your time tonight in the cold. I reside in Wake Forest, but Cape Carteret's second home. Been here since 1985, and I've got an older home that's on the corner of Manatee and Neptune. It's 1016. Has everybody been by that property, seen that property? Know that property? This house was built, constructed in 1986. So that was back in the day before we had the good folks like yourselves doing your due diligence and regulations. So I acquired the house through family inheritance. My wife is on the front porch, you know, and the way the house is placed, we would go out into the area a little bit further than the you know, that's why we need the variance to extend out from the house, from the stoop, to get rid of the stoop, put a front porch in the house. And the front porch residence came out from the front of the house. I don't know if town manager has any information I gave you previously in the packet. Is that all there? Okay. So you see the captioned property, the lot, and if you notice on the front of the house, and if you see an aerial there, there's a sidewalk. That sidewalk, inside of the sidewalk, is basically the 8 foot. That's where I need to come to. So what I'll do is do away with the sidewalk, and I'm looking at a porch crossing about 8 foot out and going across from the center of the house, a total of about 30 to 32 feet across the front of the house. And the step situation is part of it too. But what I think I'm going to do is, if I can get variance on the porch to come out.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So I'm just trying to be a nice guy and appreciate what you guys are doing. So, and that's what we'd like to do. And it's pretty simple. I've talked to several of the neighbors that know me, that not necessarily the adjacent ones, but some of them around, and told them what I was going to do. And they're like, oh, wow, you're going to improve the aesthetics of this place. Because basically the house, if you look at it, to me, it looks like a modular unit. Why not dress it up and you know, make it look nice for the community? Because we enjoy being here. So that's my request.
Are there any other people to speak
No.
on your behalf?
No.
Some of the adjacent property owners, no one is here. Okay. Questions for Mr.
How far does
Myrick?
the existing stoop come out?
It comes out about 4 feet, but then you have 3 steps in front of it. So it's almost 8 feet. If you look at the stoop,
I'm looking at
Yeah, you look at the end of the sidewalk, not to the outside of the sidewalk, but the inner side of the sidewalk between, that is 8, that will be as far as it will go. That's 8 feet right there. And those steps come out about 8 feet, but that porch will be exiting off to the side, to the garage side. Yes, yes.
So the sidewalk does not encroach?
The sidewalk does encroach. The sidewalk is on the out boundary of 8 foot from the house.
So were you given a variance to put the sidewalk in?
That's back in the day in 1986, before we had,
Is that-
yeah,
So a sidewalk even would not
Wait a
require
minute.
even today.
Not today.
it's not structural anyway. But basically what I want to do, like I said, come out 8 foot, which would be inside of that existing sidewalk. That will be removed. And then I will exit my steps to the side where the garage is. And that's what I'd love to do, if that's possible.
We don't have a site plan.
So he's provided,
Just the
very.
floor.
Just the, yeah,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
the,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
I mean, I'd love steps out the front, but that didn't seem like that would be reasonable in this case.
This architectural rendering is what you anticipate?
Yes, and I do not have a building permit. I'm doing a preliminary now to know what I can do so I can go to the next step. So that's why I'm here. I didn't want to put the cart before the horse.
Any questions of Mr. Myrick?
Do we know what the footage is from the existing stoop to the boundary?
We've looked at that vaguely. I think when it's a couple of feet. I mean, it would be in.
I went out and pulled the tape. Because he and I went out and trying to determine exactly where the rock.
So how much room do we have to play with? I think is where,
Yeah, so his setback there is 35 feet in front. And he asked for the minimum 30 set.
And it's his yard.
And I'll be well.
yeah, I mean,
I'll be well within the 7 feet. That's just for safety measurements, as far as making sure my measurements are right.
I actually came up with 7 feet. Myrick out there on the ground. But we're looking at it out like this. I'm not a surveyor, but this is where the right.
Yeah, yeah.
is, so it could swag up.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why I just said stretch it a little bit to be safe. So it would not be more than 7 at all.
I think it was about 5.
It'd probably be closer to between 5 and 6, exactly. Closer to 5.
Far be it from me, so it was 5.5.
Far be it.
So then they had 7, so let's be safe, you know.
I mean, I think yours was a little bit easier.
Yeah,
I will say, it was easier to compare the houses in the
Right.
neighborhood.
right,
It was also easy to see that some of the houses actually sit closer to the road than yours does.
exactly.
It wasn't in my eyes. I mean, I do agree with you. It would be more aesthetically pleasing for the neighborhood. However, there are also a lot of them that have stoops still.
Exactly, exactly. And this house was built before, this is 86
Yeah.
vintage, before we had all this. So that was the sort of the norm at the time, if you will, to
Right.
be a cost efficient, just a
And
basic
there's a lot
house.
of houses in that.
They still have that, yes.
Down that road that are easy to compare yours to.
Exactly.
Certainly,
Okay,
that's the right way to do it.
okay, thank you.
The house was built prior to the ordinance being put in place, that's correct. So this is no fault to the property owner or in any way. This becomes really simple to me.
Are you making a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to grant the variance for 7 foot as it's.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myrick.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
We're out of here.